I now call Deputy Andrew Doyle. I understand Deputy Doyle is sharing with Deputy Michael Creed.
Maybe you tell me when I'll take 6 minutes. Maybe
yes,
tell me
6 minutes and 4 minutes. If that's agreed. Agreed?
Agreed.
Deputy.
Okay. Thank you, Last Count Coillte. I too welcome the debate. I think it's very necessary that we conduct a series of debates and discussions and thrash out the whole of this proposal and the possible benefit or otherwise. But just as a bit of background, the McCarthy report in April 11 made a point that Coillte reported an aggregate pre-tax profits of $204 million in 2009, with profits from land sales accounting for 70% of this amount and profits of sales from immature forests a further 17%. And profit from forestry and downstream operations, including log sales and CPP, accounted. Traditionally, the core operations accounted for just 13% of the company's profits. I'm not sure where I have it. I haven't got them here. But anyway, it's not me. So I think deputies across the way have acknowledged that Coillte wasn't a perfect or isn't a perfect model, and it certainly needs to be looked at. The reason that we're looking at it at all is that as a result of being in the Troika, we've undertaken to examine the possibility of selling $3 billion worth of state assets. And while this is regrettable because of the economic position we're in, it is an opportunity to examine all the state assets, run the rule over them and see if there is value in the sale of some of them. In Coilte's case, the sale of the harvesting rights. But we should bear a couple of things in mind. First of all, at this stage, 47% of the forest estate in the country is privately owned, though it's not as mature and it's not in a cycle of maturity. But all new afforestation that's actually taking place at the moment is in the private sector. Carbon sequestration has been mentioned. Only plantations since 1990, new plantations since 1990, can be considered under the current agreement, and towards 2020, unless we increase our greenhouse gas emissions, we can't consider it. And in the last Dáil, I was rapporteur for the Climate Change Committee on a report trying to calculate the value of carbon at the forest estate in land use and land use change and forestry under that context. So a couple of other points that I think should be made with regard to the whole debate. People say that this will lead to heavy machinery. Heavy machinery already, if it's a performer's estate as a commercial entity, heavy machinery already has to move in on the forest estate. And in that regard, the Wicklow Way has a provision that Coillte have the right to move it, alter it, not close it, but provide a different route if and when they're harvesting a part of it. So that doesn't interfere. So it's an ongoing. So these things are possible. I'm just making that point. At this stage, we have 3 reports, and none of them have merged. We have the report done by Coillte, which has been presented to the board, noted and forwarded to the steering group, which I understand will probably, in conjunction with New Era, make a report and present options to the government by the end of next month, the end of Q1, with further consideration and no determination till the end of Q2 or early Q3. Today, in the AV room, we had a presentation. Unfortunately, I didn't get to wait for the summary of the one from the sawmill processors, which was carried out on their behalf by EPS consultants. I did hear Mr. Bacon's report, but all of them, and including Coilte's own report, hones in on about 7 different considerations that need to be core issues that need to be actually considered in the evaluation of it and the impact. One is the impact on timber processing, the timber processing sector. Second is the viability of the remaining entity. Third is the impact on employment, including the Coillte Pension Fund. Fourth is the Coillte debt and bank loans. Fifth is replanting obligations. Sixth is recreation and public goods. And 7 is the smart fly investment. Coillte at this stage has 3 core activities. One is the forest estate. 2 is its smart fly, board mill industry and product development, which it is actually very good at in conjunction with the private sector, in particular the processors. And thirdly is the other aspect to it, which mainly is centred around windmills and renewable energy. They have, and they continue to have, a public service obligation, which they will argue is actually not the most economic or efficient way of actually supplying wood chip, and that is to the peat burning stations for coal firing. Nonetheless, it's part and parcel of the package at the moment. So I think what we need to do is continue to have these debates, Lascaux Coillte. The committee, I know, that I chair, the Agriculture Committee, has already had the Chief Executive and Secretary of the group in, along with the Chairman, who outlined the process. At that stage, they were both October and December, or November. And we plan to have all the statutory interested bodies in if they wish to attend, the processors, the nurseries, the forestry management companies, the recreational users and the trade unions. So everybody can have their say, and we would hope that at the end of that we'll have an informed consideration by the government, and we would urge that the government would actually take time to consider all the deliberations that take place in our committee. I think it is a forum which has proven, not just our committee but every committee, it has proven to be, a productive forum if it's conducted. And I welcome the fact that tonight's debate is being conducted in a mature fashion, that everybody's making their point. I think a lot of the points raised by in the original motion are all valid for consideration. I don't think anyone argues that point. So I welcome and continue it, and I'll conclude with that. Lascaux Coillte.
Please, 5 minutes, Deputy.
Thank you very much, Lascaux Coillte. I welcome the opportunity to say a few brief words on this and thank Deputy Doyle for sharing his time with me. Can I just say at the outset,